You ever wake up before the sun and realize the day's already decided it's going to mess with you? That was me, standing barefoot on cold kitchen tile, watching amber lights flash through the window, lighting up our driveway like we were in the middle of a crime scene. Except the only thing getting hauled off was my grandpa's old Arvagain. Air brakes hissed, and a tow truck idled so close I could see the driver's silhouette, busy as ever, probably thinking he was just doing his job. The HOA board, meanwhile, had given the green light. Some rep reading rules off a speakerphone, all official, like it was routine to snatch a man's memories before breakfast. But this time, I had something that didn't see coming to court complaint, real paper, case number inked clear as day. I held it tight, feeling the weight, thinking, I'm not letting them take it. Not today. You want to know what again feels like? It's like watching a searchlight sweep your own driveway, making that old RV look guilty just for sitting there. White stripes, faded and sunburned, crooked as ever Grandpa always parked by feel, not by rules. When the tow truck finally stopped, brakes sighing, Grandpa was right behind me, hand on the doorframe. "What's that for?" he asked, voice thin. I stepped out, palms up, trying to sound casual. "Morning. Wrong house, maybe." The tow driver didn't blink, just nodded toward the RV, clipboard in hand. "Got an order," he grunted. He said it like it explained everything. But the way he said again made my stomach clench. He flipped through his papers. Unit 42, White Class C, plate ends in 72. "Yeah," I said again. Grandpa's voice broke. "I haven't moved it." I could feel him deflating behind me. "That's not what this is about," I muttered, mostly to myself, then a little louder, "Show me the order." He just tapped the clipboard, shrugged. "I don't make the rules." I actually laughed, a dry, bitter little sound. The HOA sure thinks it does. He didn't argue. Instead, he pointed at the RV's door. That's when I saw Ida a notice slapped on with tape, one corner already peeling up. Big, bold letters. Final notice, then smaller text, all neat and smug. Violation enforcement, tow authorization. Their logo right up top, like a brand on cattle. Grandpa stared at it like it might bite. "They put that on last night," he whispered. I touched the paper tape, still stiff. Hadn't even had time to bake in the sun. "You can't tow it," I said. "That's my grandpa's RV." The driver just nodded toward the house. "Then you should talk to your HOA." He was already crouched by the hitch, metal clinking as he worked. "We're not doing this," I said. Pulled out my phone, thumb hovering a second before I hit record. The driver just smirked. "Everybody records now." "Good." I shot back. Maybe somebody will finally watch. Grandpa grabbed my elbow. "Not hard a question, not a warning. Please don't make it worse." I shook my head. "I'm not." "They are." Metal scraped, chain on chain. The driver didn't stop. "You can call the office, but I got a job." "Then we'll call," I said, hitting the HOA's number, the one I'd hoped never to use. It rang. Then the chipper voice, "Thank you for calling Maplewood Ridge Homeowners Association." I cut it off. "Operator." The driver kept working. On the phone, a woman's voice, brisk and distant. "Maplewood Ridge, HOA. This is Denise." "Denise, there's a tow truck in my driveway, hooking up my grandpa's RV." "Why?" She tapped keys, the sound faint. "Address." "Unit 42. A pause. "Yes, that tow is approved." "Approved by who?" "The board," she said, like a stamp. I could feel the driver watching me, bored. "I'm looking at a final notice taped to the RV." I told her. "It wasn't here yesterday. Notices are delivered according to procedure." "At night?" "With tape." I repeated. "The RV is in violation. The tow is authorized. Concerns may be submitted in writing." Grandpa's breathing went shallow, embarrassed. "You're towing it again." Silence. Denise cleared her throat. "This is enforcement. The board's decision stands." "Whose decision?" I pressed. "Name the person who approved it." "That information is not provided over the phone." The driver snapped the hook on with a clack, tugged it tight. The RV rocked. Grandpa flinched. "Denise, I said, I'm recording this call. I'm aware, she said too fast. Then hear me. You're towing my grandpa's RV again. I want that approval in writing. Right now. The board does not respond on demand. Then tell them this: if that RV moves, everyone's going to know who did it. The hydraulic system whined, tow truck growling louder. I leaned into the speaker. Denise, stop the tow. I cannot stop an authorized tow. You need to follow procedure. What procedure? The one where you tape notices in the dark and call it delivered. Grandpa's voice cracked. Please, that's all I've got left from the road. The driver leaned out. You get an answer? I got a script, I said. He actually sighed. Look, I don't like doing this to old folks. But if it's approved, it's approved. I held up the phone so Denise could hear. Even your guy says it's about your approval. Yes, she replied. The tow was approved. I stared at the crooked notice, the tape catching the sun. I felt stuck between my grandpa's quiet dignity and a board acting like paperwork made them kings. Who approved it? I asked one last time. It was approved last night by the HOA. Afterward, Grandpa didn't sleep. He sat at the kitchen table, same flannel shirt, hands around a mug that had gone cold. Outside, the driveway was too empty, like someone to race part of our life with a tow strap. I poured coffee just to have something to do. Why again, he whispered. It wasn't about the RV. It was about losing the rhythm of his days, slow walks, old routines yanked off course by people who never even looked him in the eye. Because they think they can, I answered. Grandpa hunched in, voice small. I didn't do anything. I parked where you told me. I know. My phone buzzied a notification. HOA didn't waste time with conversation, only emails. The subject, tow approved PR HOA policy. The message? Barely 3 lines. This email serves as confirmation that the tow of the recreational vehicle registered to your household has been approved per HOA policy. Enforcement action will proceed as authorized by the board. No warning, no appeal. Just policy and a phone number that led right back to Denise. So they could just do that? Grandpa asked. I scrolled, hoping for anything about appeal or hearing. Nothing. Where's the part where we get to respond? I muttered. Grandpa tapped his mug. Maybe we missed the letter. We didn't, I said. They taped it in the dark. That's not a letter. That's theater. He flinched like I'd insulted someone. Grandpa came from a world where rules had faces: teachers, cops, people you could talk to. This was different. A system that acted like a person but wouldn't answer like one. I don't want trouble, he said. I know, but trouble keeps showing up. I dug through the HOA's website for bylaws pages of language about authority, violations, fees, but nothing useful about appealing, hearing, or disputing. Only vague phrases like submit in writing. I felt helpless. That's what they wanted. But then I thought, if they can tow a vehicle without giving a homeowner a real chance, what else could they do? They could take my house. They could try, I said. But they shouldn't be able to skip the basics. So I did something I hadn't in years. I searched legal aid hotline county. When someone answered, I barely managed, "Hi, my name's Swell. I'm in an HOA, and they just towed my grandpa's RV again." Taped a final notice overnight, sent an email. No appeal process. Mara, her name was, paused like she was listening. When you say again, you mean this happened before? Yes. Last time, they promised they'd review. Now they're doing it again. She got sharp but not angry. That's a due process problem. Even in an HOA, they need clear notice and a real opportunity to respond. Final doesn't mean anything if you never had a first chance. Put everything in writing. Ask for the policy, notice, appeal. If they can't show it, that matters. Grandpa whispered, "Tell her they taped it." I did. Mara told me to ask for records names, votes, times to keep my own, screenshots, photos, everything. I didn't feel triumphant, but at least now I had something to push back with. So I wrote, dated, referenced their email, demanded policy section, notice log, appeal process, RV's location, timeline, name of the person who approved it. Is that going to work? Grandpa asked. It has to. If they can do this again, they'll keep doing it. I sent it. The reply: your concerns have been noted. The board's decision is final. So we wanted the county building paper, disinfectant, humming fluorescent lights. Grandpa shuffled next to me, hand on my sleeve like he was making sure I wouldn't disappear. I filed a complaint, laid out the email, photo, written request, replies. The clerk flipped through, eyes quick but not rushed. This is about repeated towing? Yes. They promised to review, then did it again. And you were given an opportunity to appeal? No, just a taped notice overnight. She typed, sharp and confident. What are you asking for? A temporary stop until there's a hearing or a real process. You're asking the court to intervene in an HOA enforcement action? Yes, because they won't even explain how it works. She paused, then nodded. We'll file as an emergency request. The stamp hit the top page, red and final, filed. What now? I asked. A judge will review. I'm flagging it for expedited review. Make sure you're reachable. My phone buzzed again. Tow scheduled tonight. No greeting. Just the words, sharp as a knife. They're doing it again, Grandpa read on my face. They're trying, I said, but they don't know about this yet. He shook his head. I don't like fighting. I know. Neither do I. That night, at the HOA meeting, the room was packed for the first time ever. Usually 5 people, maybe a plate of cookies. Tonight, every seat filled, people lining the walls. At the front, the president smiled tight. Papers stacked ran through landscaping, pool, parking like nothing was wrong. When it was time for comments, I stood. I'm here about the towing. Where's the appeal? The president, binder in hand, tried to brush it off. We don't discuss individual enforcement. I'm not asking about one tow. I'm asking about process. What does a homeowner get to be heard? The room went quiet. She dodged, my cut off, then the binder slipped papers everywhere. Somebody called out, "What section is it in?" Silence. Grandpa stood, voice steady. "I'm 82. That RV is how I see my daughter's grave. You towed it without talking to me." People murmured. The meeting adjourned, fast and messy. On the way out, a board member announced, enforcement will proceed as scheduled. At 10:17 p.m., amber lights swept the driveway again. Grandpa stood at the window, shoulders slumped. The tow truck rolled up, rain spitting sideways. I went live neighbors, friends, strangers tuning in. "They're back," I said. "It's HOA tow again." The tow driver warned me, "You're interfering." "No, we're watching." He sighed, ready to work. I pulled out the folder, top page bold with the court stamp. "Filed," I said. Denise herself stepped out of a sedan. "This is an enforcement action." "It's a legal dispute now," I said, waving the filed order. "The board's decision stands," she insisted. A neighbor called out, "Didn't you just adjourn the meeting because you couldn't answer questions?" Denise ignored him. "Tow driver, proceed." The driver hesitated. "If I don't do my job, I don't get paid." "That's fine," I said, "but I've called the police." "For what?" "For standing here with a court filing and a crowd. They'll sort it out." Red and blue lights swept in. The officer got out, rain pounding his hat. "Evening. What's going on?" I handed him the folder. He read, "Emergency request." He turned to Denise. "Are you aware of this filing?" "We were not served." "That doesn't mean it doesn't exist." He turned to the driver. Pause. The winch stopped. The RV stayed. My phone buzzed court hearing, 8 a.m. In the courtroom, the judge calm, clear asked the HOA's lawyer, "Rules include towing residents' vehicles?" Without a prior hearing, the lawyer tried to dodge. She pressed, "Final before an appeal?" He stammered. The judge said, "Belief is not process. Enforcement without process is abuse." She signed the order. The court freezes the HOA's tow program until a compliant notice and appeal procedure is established. Frozen, red stamped and official. Outside, Grandpa read the order, eyes wet but voice steady. "They can't just do whatever they want anymore." "Not today," I said. The RV came back, quietly, no sirens. Just the low rumble of diesel as it settled back where it belonged. Neighbors drifted over, not cheering, just present. HOA emailed. Enforcement suspended pending policy review. Grandpa smiled. That means they can't touch it? Not without a real process. He nodded, relearning the rules of a game he thought he knew. Later, the HOA vice president showed up, awkward, talking about temporary rules. I told him, middle ground is due process. Notice people can read, a real chance to respond. He nodded. Your grandfather's vehicle won't be touched under the current order. That's not the point, I said. It's not just about him. A neighbor chimed in. What about the rest of us? He just smiled, retreated. Grandpa watched him go. Well, I guess that's that. A quiet returned, heavier, but not bitter. Later, we saw the HOA entrance sign updated, tow program frozen, public notice, court order, big bold letters. Grandpa read it, nodded. Good. Next morning, no lights, no diesel. Just coffee, sunlight, and peace. Grandpa shuffled in, handed me a mug, nodded at the new sign, appeal process required. That's for everybody, he said. I peeled the last tape mark from the RV door, feeling the stubborn stickiness give way. The old notice was gone. I put the court order inside, where the morning light hit it. Grandpa traced the edge. You didn't do this just for me. No, I said, but I'm glad it helped. We stood in the stillness, the RV finally looking like it belonged again. He broke the silence. Think they'll try again? Not like before. Not quietly. Not without everyone seeing. He smiled, proud. Good. Finally, someone fought back. You know, justice isn't loud. It's steady. When power has to show its work, when rules stop hiding behind tape and email swell, maybe a community starts to heal. I don't know where that lesson lands for you. But for me, it was simple. Didn't wait for permission to stand up. Just stand. So, let me ask you, where's the line for you? How far would you let someone push before you push back? Ever tangled with an HOA, seen power get too comfortable? I'd love to hear what you do. Drop your story below. Let's see where we draw the line together.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.